All right, it's my pleasure to welcome you to another episode of Football Mania. Today we are going to talk about transfers, and it has been a very busy day on that front for Chelsea Football Club. So we begin with Chelsea manager Tuchel extending his contract until 2024. That's an extra 2 years contract. Remember that he signed an 18-month contract in January upon joining Chelsea Football Club. So right now he is now going to be Chelsea manager until 2024, officially extending his contract by 2 extra years. He has been wonderful for Chelsea. He has been immense since joining Chelsea, and he has not hidden his love and desire to continue working for Chelsea Football Club, and we wish him all the best, and hopefully he will be at Chelsea for years to come because he's an outstanding manager, an immensely talented manager. So we move on now to the players. Olivier Giroud has also extended his contract by 1 extra year. Remember that Giroud's contract was supposed to expire at the end of this month, but he has now able to sign another 1-year contract that will expire next summer. That's in a year's time. That's a very surprising news because he has not been able to play that much for Chelsea this season, and one would think that he will be leaving the club this summer once his contract expires. But a new 1-year contract does not mean that there is no possibility of him leaving the club. In fact, he can still leave Chelsea if he wishes, once he receives an offer that is very acceptable to him and also to Chelsea Football Club. Then he could still leave Chelsea Football Club. But this has given Chelsea a little bit of breathing space, looking for strikers. So now we move ahead to another player, Willy Caballero. Willy Caballero is about to leave Chelsea. His contract will expire at the end of the month, and Chelsea Football Club have confirmed that Willy is leaving Chelsea Football Club after winning UEFA Champions League. I mean, this is wonderful. It's wonderful, a wonderful way to leave a club that you have served so well. This is one of the players that are key to Chelsea's dressing room. I mean, a born professional, somebody who gives it all for the club, not just fighting for the shirt, but fighting for the shirt, fighting for the club, making sure that everybody is doing the right things and everybody is okay. He's a model professional, if you're listening to people who are inside Chelsea Football Club. So we wish you, Willy, all the best. Now moving to another veteran, talking about THiago Silva. THiago Silva has extended his contract by 1 more year. So I mean, Chelsea, let's put it this way, not actually an extension, is not a new contract altogether. It's still the existing contract that he signed upon joining Chelsea last summer. That's a 1-year contract and then option to extend for another year. So he is now going to be at Chelsea Football Club until next summer. That means that Chelsea have activated that 1-year option that they inserted in his contract upon signing. Now let me use this opportunity to talk about this issue, talking about an option to sign for a further 1 year, because yesterday I was having a little bit of argument on Twitter trying to explain actually how this works. To my knowledge, this is how this works. When a player signs a 1-year contract and 1-year option to extend, that means the club is being given the opportunity to extend that player's contract next season. That doesn't mean that the player in question can leave the club if he wishes to leave the club. But for that to happen, that contract will also state that the player is free to leave the club, even if the club intends to take up that 1-year extension. But in most cases, this doesn't happen, because if you look at it technically, if a club allows a player to insert that option in that contract, it simply means that 1-year extension doesn't mean anything. It's just useless on paper, because if that player does well after 1 season, the following season, the club may show intention to extend that contract, to take up that option, and the player can now come and say, I am not going to accept it unless you are going to pay me double that Mr. XYZ have offered him more money. In this situation, you have that option on paper, but you can't use it because the player also has that option to say, I can decide to accept this deal or not to accept this deal. So that is the difference. I am not saying that it's not possible, but no club will allow a player to have that clause to dictate what will happen. So most times what happens is the club will just insert the extension, give themselves all the power, and then decide to take up that extension or decline to take up that extension. It's the same thing that happens when a club sends a player on loan and gives the buying club an opportunity, an option to make the deal permanent. Then once you do that, you have no leverage over the deal anymore. It depends on the buying club and the player right now. Then if the buying club decides to take up that option to make the deal permanent, then you as the parent club, becomes powerless over the player in question. I think I have explained that misconception. Now that's where we come to the end of the show. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Just hit the like button, comment below, hit the notification button, and then if you haven't subscribed, see you again next time.